This is going to be a very difficult video. This topic is more common than you think and more painful than you could imagine. Hug yourself before you begin to listen to this situation that was shared with me. Hug yourself tightly. You are not alone, and together it hurts less. The doubt that never sleeps. That's what I decided to call this odyssey. She had no proof, and perhaps that's why the pain was even deeper. There were no discovered messages, no blocked calls, no photographs to confirm what her heart suspected. There were only doubts. Doubts that appeared without warning, like a soft mist at first, but persistent. After so many years together, something had changed. Not obviously, not scandalously. It was more subtle than that. A distance, difficult to explain. A change in the way they looked at each other. A silence that hadn't existed before. And the worst part of all was not knowing if it was all happening only in her mind. For years, they had built a life together. Not perfect, but shared. They had established routines, agreements, a family, stability. They knew each other through small gestures, through the way they walked around the house, through habits repeated without thinking. And that's why when doubt arose, she didn't know what to do with it. Because how do you face something you can't prove? How do you confront a suspicion without destroying what still exists? She thought about saying something many times. She rehearsed conversations in her head. She imagined gentle, indirect questions. She thought about looking him in the eyes and asking for clarity. But she always stopped herself, because the fear wasn't just of the answer, it was of the damage. Damage to the relationship, damage to trust, damage to something that perhaps was still intact. And then she chose silence. Living with uncertainty wasn't a conscious decision, it was a consequence. Every day, doubt seeped into the smallest spaces. In a late arrival, in a message she didn't see, in a distracted smile. Nothing was enough to confirm anything, but everything was enough to fuel the unease. She began to observe more than she wanted, to analyze gestures, to search for hidden meanings where before there had only been normality. And little by little, the tranquility eroded. She didn't sleep the same. At night, her mind created scenarios. Stories that perhaps weren't real, but that felt real. She wondered if she was exaggerating, if she was projecting her own fears, if the problem was her, and that doubt, the doubt about herself, began to hurt more than the possible infidelity. Because when you have no proof, the pain has no concrete form. You can't point to it. You can't confront it. You can't close the door on it. You can only feel it. Sometimes she told herself that everything was fine, that maybe it was just a phase, that long-term relationships go through moments like this. Other times, the weight was unbearable. She felt like she was always on high alert, as if her heart were always prepared for a fall that never came, but that also never disappeared. And so, love began to mix with anxiety, closeness with vigilance, calm with fear. Not because he did anything obvious, but because uncertainty consumed everything. She wondered what was worse, discovering a painful truth or living eternally with the doubt. Because doubt doesn't scream. It doesn't explode. Doubt wears you down. It accompanies you when you wake up. It sits with you in silence. It steals your peace without a sound. There were days when she thought about looking for proof, reviewing, investigating, but something inside her resisted. She didn't want to become someone she didn't recognize. She didn't want to break trust without a clear reason. She didn't want to cross a line she perhaps shouldn't have crossed. So she chose to remain ignorant. But remaining ignorant comes at a price. Over time, she began to feel alone, even when surrounded by others. Not because she wasn't loved, but because she didn't feel safe. And emotional security is silent, but essential. Without it, love becomes fragile. One day, in the midst of that emotional exhaustion, she understood something important. Constant uncertainty is also a form of pain, and sustained pain shouldn't be normalized. Wanting clarity isn't weakness. Needing peace isn't an exaggeration. Taking care of your emotional well-being isn't unfair. Final message, life advice. If you're experiencing something similar, remember this. You don't need proof to validate what you feel. Your emotions don't require legal evidence to exist. But you're also not obligated to destroy a relationship out of fear. The key isn't accusing. It's communicating honestly. Talking isn't always confronting. Asking questions isn't always attacking. Expressing insecurity isn't the same as pointing fingers. And if you choose to remain silent, do so consciously, not as a silent sacrifice. Because living with constant doubt isn't love, emotional survival. You deserve a relationship where you can rest, where your mind doesn't have to be on guard, where love doesn't coexist with fear. And remember something essential. Choosing yourself doesn't mean abandoning yourself. Sometimes it means listening to yourself. Seeking peace isn't selfishness. It's a profound form of self-respect. Whatever path you take, let it not be from fear, but from self-care, because when there is inner peace, all decisions become clearer. I'll see you in the next video.